Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and we're gonna do the palm spin. Sick. So when we do the palm spin, the first progression is gonna be putting, we like to make our hand into a diamond, and then you squeeze the corner of the mat, and you're gonna jump up with both feet, and then jump down with both feet. Beautiful. The next thing he's gonna do is similar, except he's only gonna put one foot on the mat. So he's gonna go up, one foot, and come down. And then the last progression, or the palm spin, will be when you do the same thing but with no feet. So you're just gonna jump into it, your hips go up high, and then on the other side. Now, the mistakes that we see with this, the two most couple mistakes we see. One is we don't push with our arms enough, and they crash down, and nothing happens. Yeah, they go to their bottom. Or in another similar fashion, the kids will kind of turn their hips and almost jump to sit on their bottom, which we don't want to do. We want to make sure their belly button is facing their hands the whole time. And the other big mistake we see is that kids, we want to keep the palm spin real small. The circle of the palm spin is really small. We want, if he's going to do the palm spin right here, it's going to stay right here. We don't want to go really long with the palm spin. So what kids tend to do is they try and go all the way over the mat and make it way bigger than it needs to be, and that is very difficult. That's not what we want. We just want to pretty much go straight up and straight down when we do this. So those are the mistakes and fixes for your palm spin. Hey guys, this is Coach Michael, and we're going to be working on the safety ball. So first progression is going to be just standing right next to the ball. We're going to put one hand on, one foot on, and then you're going to step up with your other foot right in the middle. Beautiful. And then you can go over. The second progression again is just going to be standing right next to the mat. You're going to put one hand on, the opposite foot, and then you're going to stretch your leg through as far as you can and step down. And then the last progression will be a full speed safety ball, which is one hand, the opposite foot, and your leg goes through the middle. Now, when you do a safety ball, the reason it's called a safety ball is you could stop in the middle of it if you needed to and go backwards, because you're stopping hand, foot, and then you can decide, oh no, I'm going to go back because there's a bunch of Legos on the ground. So that's why we call it a safety ball, so we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. And a lot of the mistakes that we see are kids that do their safety ball and they turn while they're doing it. They turn this way. We want to try and make sure we're going forward. A lot of times kids also bring their leg, instead of bringing their leg through the middle, they bring their leg around the outside, like this. And then the other thing we see is a lot of times kids will put both hands down. We want to make sure to try and put one hand down, and a lot of times I'll help by holding one arm in the air. So as they go over, if you want to put your favorite hand down, and then I'll hold this arm up in the air and let them do their safety ball that way. And that's your safety ball. Hey guys, this is Coach Michael, and we're going to show you the speed ball. So the first progression of a speed ball is going to be the safety vault. Same thing we've done before. It's going to be one hand, opposite foot, body faces forward. And then you're just going to go over it faster and keep your feet from touching the mat. So you're just going to go straight over with just one hand. And you want to make sure that you get your body horizontal. You want to stay real close to the obstacle that you're vaulting over. Now, the big mistakes that we see are kids and ninjas, they tend to turn their body when they do it. So they do a speed ball and they turn their body like a turn ball. We want to be going so fast forward that we cannot turn left or right. We want to just go straight. The other one that we see a lot of times is kids will put both hands down or they'll let their feet touch. And the last thing that we see a lot of times is when kids, like we talked about earlier, kids will try and go over it and keep their chest right on top of their hips, and they'll go over and stay very, very vertical. But the lower to the ground you can get, and the more you can turn your body, the easier the skill is going to be. So we want to make sure that you're staying real low and doing your speed vault the right way, and that is your speed vault. Hey guys, this is Coach Michael. We're going to do the turn vault. So the first progression of the turn vault is going to be both hands on the mat. You're going to step up with both feet like this. Step, step. And then you're going to come back around. You're going to do turn vault. You're going to put one foot on the mat. So it's only one step. We're trying to make this a little more fluid. Good. And then for the next one, he's going to do a full speed turn vault. So hands are going to go down, push down through your shoulders, clear the mat. So good. All right, now for the mistakes. So what happens a lot of times is kids like to put their knees down on the mat. They put their hands down, they bring their knees across. We don't want to do that because if we were actually vaulting over something in the wild, then that would hurt our knees. The next mistake that we see would be kids that don't push very hard with their arms. We have to make sure we're pushing down with all of our strength through our shoulders. We're going to make sure we push down hard. And the last mistake that we see a lot of times is kids kick their feet up behind them and arch their back. And we don't want to do that because that's kind of like pushing away from the mat, and you arch your back. When you do that, we want to push down into the mat instead. And there's your turn.
11.
Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and we're going to do the gargoyle hang. So the first progression of the gargoyle hang would be to just be on the bar, and you're going to lift your feet up to the bar, and you're probably going to have to help ninjas do this when they're first learning. The next progression will be the same thing, except you're going to let your feet pass through your arms, and then you'll come down and land on your feet. Good. And then the last progression, once they understand that and they're over the fear of going upside down, then we want to actually have them start hanging upside down, or hanging before they let their feet touch the ground. I want them to hang right here and work on that strength. And so that's going to be the last progression of the gargoyle hang. By the way, guys, here are the mistakes for the gargoyle hang. A lot of times kids and ninjas will put their one foot outside of their hands. We don't want to do that because then they'll get caught with their arms. We also have kids that try to do it with really long legs, and it's a lot harder to get your legs through when you do that. We also have the kids that go through and catch their feet on the bar and do whatever this thing is, and we don't want to do that. We got to make sure we're spotting them so that doesn't happen. And then we also have kids that just let go. They like go up on the bar and they get upside down and they let go. So you got to make sure that your hands on when they're learning this skill so that they understand that. And here, go ahead and do like half of it. They let go right here, which is bad. We got to make sure that they don't let go of the bar, so we got to be there to help them. And there's your gargoyle hang. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the front kick, side kick, back kick combo. Wow. Beautiful. Now, when you're doing the front kick, side kick, back kick combo, this is one of the first combos they're going to learn. And we have to make sure that we remind the ninjas that we're kicking towards a target, and we keep kicking towards that target the entire time. So I tell them to look at a spot on the wall. We want to make sure that every kick is going to go the same direction, and they might get confused on which foot they step with after the front kick or after their side kick. But at this level, don't be too concerned about which foot they're kicking with. Worry more about them connecting the kicks together and kicking towards the same target.
With that being said, ninjas have a hard time kind of figuring out how to do that. So what I always like to say is, if we're actually fighting, try to kick me, okay? Full force. Ready? Front kick, side kick, back kick. How many times did I actually get kicked?
Because if you're standing there trying to, like, if Mike and I are in a fight and he does a back kick, that wasn't very effective. So if sometimes you can be goofy and explain to kids in that way, and then they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because we don't want to be doing a front kick, side kick, back kick combo. That's not how that works. So just make sure they're kicking towards the same target, and that they're focused on understanding how to connect each skill and go right into the next one. And that's your front kick, side kick, back kick combo. Hey guys, this is Coach Michael, and we're going to go over the pullover. You want to show them a pullover for me? Wow, beautiful. Okay, come on. So the first progression is going to be a pull up. That's pulling your chin up above the bar. Wow, look at those muscles. Then we're going to do a jump to front support. That's the next progression. We want to be able to make sure that you jump to front support. Obviously, they don't like to do it on a bar that's this high because that would be crazy. Then the next progression is just going to, like, you can use a wall. So we'll use my hand as a wall because I'm super strong. But when he does it, he can like kick up, walk up the wall, and then go into the pullover. And then from there, it's just going to be a spotted pullover or a solo pullover. And you can go ahead and do that. Good stuff. So the common mistakes we see in a pullover are, first off, they don't continue to pull. So maybe they pull at the beginning, or maybe they don't, but then they don't pull anymore here and they get stuck. And we have to make sure that we pull. I always tell kids that it's a pull up and then it's a pull over. So there's two pulls and you pull the entire time until the very end. The next one would be when a lot of times when people get their feet over the bar, then they like to shoot their feet up and arch their back like this, and then the kids panic, and that's not a good time. So they like flail once they get up onto the top of the bar. We have to make sure, if you want to do another one real quick.
Yeah, actually forward.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that they get their feet down in the back, because if their feet go down, then their chest is going to go up. And then the other mistake that we see is at the end of the pullover. If they're not making sure they go to front support, a lot of times kids will go all the way around and then they can come down and hit their chin. When you do a pullover and not go to front support, try not to hit your chin. But they just come right around the bar and they just go straight back, like back down.
Yeah.
And when they do that, they risk hitting their chin or their nose or something on their face on the bar. So we want to make sure they shift their hands, push down, and show front support at the end. And that is your pullover.
Hey guys, this is Coach Danny, and this is the Calm. So, when we are first doing this Calm, your ninja should also have a cash vault down, because that is going to be one of our progressions later on. So when Danny does this Calm, he's going to start off with the monkey up, where he's going to place his hands on, jump up to the top of the object, land on top, jump down. Awesome. So then the next progression, he's going to be doing a Calm up, where he's going to actually be jumping to the object onto his hands and then placing his feet on top. Sweet. Now, before we get to the actual Calm, Danny's going to try to do a cash, just to see how the Calm is going to feel. Awesome. So now, we're going to do the Calm, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands on after we jump. Make sure that our hips are high and that we are, leaning forward so that our backs aren't back and our feet aren't coming out. Sweet. So a lot of times what will happen is that if your hands are on for too long, you're actually going to end up turning this ball into a cash ball. So leaning back is what causes ninja's feet to come out, and we don't want their feet to come out because this is a Calm and not a cash. They're two different vaults and they have two completely different purposes. That's your Calm.
Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and this is the cash vault. So, when we're learning the cash vault, the first thing we're going to teach our ninjas is how to do a monkey up, and then you're going to sit, monkey up, sit to your bottom, and then push off. The next progression is going to be a cash vault to your bottom. So you're going to cash vault, bottom, push off. Beautiful. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a cash vault where we come around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. Like this, and then that way they don't have to get so close with their legs to their body that it's a little easier for them to come around the outside on the cash vault. So then once they have that down, then we need to go straight through. So they're going to push with their arms and go through. Now the big mistakes that we see are, number one, we have ninjas that land on both feet at the same time. We want to make sure we step out of this so that we are not, ouch man, didn't that hurt so bad? We want to make sure that we step out of it so that we absorb the impact a little better. We also have ninjas that hit their feet on the mat. A lot of times because they're not pulling their feet, they're waiting too long to pull their feet. And we have ninjas that land on their bahonkas. They land right on their bahonkas, and yes, that is a progression of the skill, but we don't want to be doing that when we're doing the full speed cash. Now, I will mention, whenever you're doing vaults, you want to be working with a mat that's about hip height for the athlete. So this is a good size mat for Coach Mikey and for me and all of the short coaches we have here at Ninja Zone. But for a smaller child, then you're going to want a mat that's about their hip height. And also, it does help to have a Calm vault and a dash vault for this skill, but it is not absolutely necessary. And that is your cash vault. Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and this is the dash vault. Sick. So the first progression of the dash vault is going to be jumping up onto the mat. And then you sit down and do a dash vault off the mat or push away. Then the next progression would be a similar drill, but you're gonna try and make that more fluid. So you're gonna go up, go right back down to your hands, and then dash vault over. And then after that, we're just gonna dash vault over. You gotta jump up, get your feet up in front of you, and push away from the mat. The dash vault is a very scary thing to do because you're leading with your legs instead of your upper body, which is what we lead with for most of the vaults. So a lot of mistakes we see have to do with where you take off and how high you jump. You want to take off about a leg's length away from the vault. So you can see Coach Mike is putting his foot out and extending his leg to see how far he should start. And you want to start from about wherever your toe can touch the mat in front of you. If you start too close, then you're not going to have enough room to get your feet up in front, and then you will clip your feet at the beginning of the vault, which will result in you not completing the vault. The other mistake that we see is when people go from too far away, then they end up clipping their bottom on the mat. And if you do that, the mat can fall over if you're using your mat, but also if you're doing this on a hard surface, that can really hurt your Bahonkies. So you want to make sure that you take off in the right area when you're doing this vault, and you want to make sure that you push away, land on one foot and then the other, and that is your dash vault. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the tornado kick. Sick! When we do the tornado kick, the first progression is going to be a round kick. Beautiful. Then we're gonna put our other foot in front, and we're gonna jump 180, hold our kicking leg in the air, and then do a round kick again. So let's do that one more time. So we jump 180, leave the round kicking foot in the air, and then we'll do a round kick. And then we're gonna go into the tornado kick. So you're gonna step across, you're gonna do the same thing, and go all the way through. When you do the tornado kick, the most common mistakes we see are the kids that keep their legs straight up and down like this with their knees facing up, and that is not what we want. They're going to get hurt if they do that. They got to make sure they're turning their leg in. The other mistakes we see are kids that don't spin enough. We got to make sure we're getting all the way around before we kick. We don't want to do a tornado kick and kick the same way we started. And the other mistakes we see are the kids that go forward when they do the jump instead of going straight up. We got to make sure that we are going up. Okay, there is some forward to it, but we got to make sure that we're elevating so we have enough time to spin and kick before we land. And that is your tornado kick. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and we're going to talk about the understanding of a back flip. So the reason that it says understanding of a back flip on the progress chart is because we want to make sure that they understand the fundamentals of the flip before they move to green. They do not have to be able to do a backflip by themselves, and they do not have to be able to do a backflip completely with a spot every time they land on their feet. It's just we want them to understand that you jump up first, and then you tuck, and you pull your legs over your head with your abs, and then you open back up and you land on your feet. We need them to understand the fundamentals of the flip and be able to do it without losing control every time. So what we're not looking for, and what we see a lot of, is a lot of times kids will. And you're gonna learn this stuff while you spot them on their back flip. So if I'm spotting Mike and he just throws his body back like in his head, obviously that's not what we want. And this time you're stand up. Can you try to like jump up and just completely relax, like once you jump up? So a lot of times kids jump up and then they're like making you do the whole thing for them. We don't want that. They're not getting a check mark of understanding of a backflip if they are doing that kind of thing. Also, you have kids that just they go limp in the air, or they throw their head really hard, or they're jumping back instead of up. We want to make sure that they're jumping up first and then flipping. Can you go ahead and do a good one? So you're gonna feel it when you spot them. You're gonna feel that they're jumping up and then they're flipping. And like I said, they might not even land on their feet every time. Maybe you're on a mat and they're landing on their hands and knees, but at least they're understanding that you jump up first. You're gonna feel that when you spot them. And the other thing we want to look for is their head. A lot of times kids are going to throw their head right away. And what I tell kids is to look at a spot on the wall. Can you try and look at a spot on the wall this time as you go up? All right. So his head's going to stay in because he's looking at that spot on the wall. And he exaggerated it on that one. That was awesome. So he kept his head in as long as he could, and then he flipped. And that's what we want to make sure that we're trying to get these kids to do, because we want them to understand the flip before we put them into green. And that's okay if it takes a while, but we need to make sure they understand this stuff. And doing backward rolls is going to really help them with that. If they're just doing backward rolls on the floor and you explain to them that it's a jump as high as you can and then it's a backward roll in the air, that will help them get the understanding of their back flip also.